everybody, welcome back to WahooWarrior channel. It's going to be game 1 of Bolt Action Teams. So this started the next morning that Combat Patrol got over about by the time we got in rooms and bed, it was like almost 1 in the morning. Got over around 12 or something. But so Combat Patrol is over, so we're moving on to Team section. This isn't my army. This is actually Tim and Bill's army, but I got some pictures of several of the armies there. I didn't get pictures of all the armies, but I'll go through those. But real quick, Jeremy Williams put this together, and U.S. Nationals, top-notch tournament organizer. He really did a great job. Not only did we play the scenarios, but each scenario had a side table designated for a special bonus, and then he had a flow chart for whether the Allied and the Axis, if the majority of Allied or Axis won, then it would influence what the next game would be. So it was very interesting. I liked that idea quite a bit. So we're going to be playing, since Ryan and I are playing Finnish and early war German tanks, we're going to be just playing Allied. But you saw Bill and Tim's army. They're Polish Soviet. Well, I guess it's British Soviet, late war. So it'd be interesting. They meet up and assist. But here looks like a German list. Yeah, so after the first match, they tally up, Allied versus Axis, and actually the Axis got smoked the first game, 7 wins, I think, if I remember correctly, for the Allied and 3 for the Axis. So on game 2, we end up suffering a slight penalty, or actually that chose the scenario. Then the 2 side tables, the Allied won 1, and the Axis was able to squeak out 1. And so they cut our fuel supply lines, so our other tanks were with low fuel. But on a good note, ammunition cache or research development was discovered. But that won't affect game 1. Game 1 is just going to be pretty straightforward. Here's just another list. I'll get to the actual list we use in a minute. So I had the pleasure of playing against Seamus. If you guys are into Bolt Action, you know him as a weekend general up in the Chicago area. He puts on his own tournament. From what I understand, it's pretty awesome. Last year was early war. I know he's got a survey up right now deciding whether or not they're going to do something different or go early war. I took French to this for Combat Patrol. My side of it was early war German tanks. I guess the theory was that they sent some of their older stuff up to Finland to assist against Russia. And Ryan had a mid-war Finnish army, I believe. But he had a couple Panzerfaust in his units. But other than that, he just had infantry. So some might have been mid to later war, but our army was pretty neutral. I think mid averaged out to the lower end of the early war. But anyway, Seamus is a great guy. I had a chance to talk to him in Operation Sting briefly. He's on some of the podcasts, a charismatic guy. So I was actually really thrilled to play against him. Here's a little Japanese, looks like a Japanese selector. Now you're able to make your list up to 800 points. Per person, so the team is actually the equivalent of 1,600. But when you make it individually, you end up getting, it looks like some pretty small, it looks like 2 Combat Patrol armies jammed together sometimes. You had to use your own order dice, so there were 4 colored dice in the bag. You could not, your commander could not influence your partner's stuff, so like one guy couldn't take a major and then snap to the other guy's stuff and his modifier wouldn't apply. Ryan and I, we didn't put a lot of thought into our list, but I definitely wanted to take something I didn't have to think about too much. I wanted to just kind of try to enjoy this team experience, so I took Early War Tank Platoon. This is a pretty awesome army here. It's a partisan army, partisan. So both teammates are playing partisans, and these guys are amazingly painted. I never played against partisans before, and I actually do end up playing these guys in game 2, but they're just outrageous how nice they look. Tons of infantry. They've got those little tricky trap bombs. Got 2 flamethrower teams, I think a bazooka team. is all their heavy weapons. Otherwise, it's just always got like 2 squads with pistols that go in the trucks. Yeah, so neat list, great theme. These guys were awesome too. They have this cart, gave me a great idea to make a cart of my own next year. They had a cooler in there. They had beers for their guests and opponents, and I'll just spoiler alert, tell you right off the bat that these guys end up winning Best Sportsman as well. That helps when you're supplying beer to all your competition. But yeah, just a couple of other quick pictures of them, and we'll get into the battle report. Well, I guess we got actually more pictures and more armies still, so I got more pictures than I thought. I did try to videotape a little bit better. I felt like I took more pictures, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. So, you know, in these events without a power source, I was just kind of winging it. But I'd prefer to have tripoded it and then just sped the whole thing up and narrated it. I think you would have got a little more out of the learning experience of it. Was Army, American Army there? Yeah, I think you would get a little more, but it's just a team match. Anyway, so this is an interesting Japanese tank. It's like a Japanese tank platoon with a reinforced platoon. Nice looking American Army there. Not too many of the display boards for the teams, but most people just use what they're planning to use tomorrow at Nationals and just stuck all their stuff on it. That's what me and Ryan did. That's a nice little flak Verling. I think Ryan played that. Not Ryan. Somebody, Bill and Tim maybe played that. So yeah, so here's the beginning of the game. How about before we do that, we go over Ryan and I's list. I don't have a copy. I have 3 Panzer III E's, light anti-tank gun, coax, and hull mount medium machine gun. I have a Panzer III, or maybe those are C's. I have one with a medium anti-tank gun, but they're all 8 armor. Ryan's got a bunch of continuation war squads. He has a sissy squad, recon squad. He's got a sniper, and then he's got actually he's got 2 snipers. He's got 2 platoons. I ran a tank platoon. He ran 2 platoons, so he's got 2 lieutenants. He's got 1 Cockapurdo squad, and then some just continuation war squads. He has a truck as well. And then I have a Kubel wagon back there with a flamethrower team. And that's, I have a Flampanzer II Flamingo, so I have a flame tank. So kind of excited about that. The first scenario we pull called Sectors. I've never played that one before. You divide the table into 4 quadrants. The neutral sides are 1 point for every unit in it at the end, and the opposing is 2. Hey, we're here today. We're doing team tournaments, and we're on table 15. This is a nice little looking Japanese table. Obviously, Ryan, my teammate. We're playing today against Tyler and Seamus. You guys know him from some of the podcasts and all over the Facebook. Awesome, thanks. So we're actually playing an interesting scenario I've never played before. It's called Sectors. Sectors is we're going to roll off, pick a table quarter. The other one's going to be opposite whatever from it. And then you get a point for each unit in the neutral one, and 2 points if you get them into your enemy's area. Should be interesting. Got a tank platoon versus my tank platoon. It looks like, what are you running, Tyler?
Armored infantry with U.S. paratroopers.
Very nice. So we got some, lots of America. All right, so should be good. I think this would be a good matchup. Tanks versus tanks, and his tanks are better than mine, but I think I have one more than you. So
I would disagree. German tanks are always better than American.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. These are all brand new, fresh off the assembly line. I've never played a game with any of them, so I have with the one little one. But
same here. These I was painting them at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll be back with after deployment. Just do a little quick update. We're wrapping up turn 1. Pretty disastrous for the Germans. Kubel wagon with a flamethrower took a 6 on the prep bombardment, blew up. The crew, actually, I thought they were going to survive. He rolled 2, killed them both. Big one was the Flampanzer. Actually, I took a risk, put it up there. Thought I was going to move up, be able to flame those paratroopers, but took a 6 on the prep bombardment.
blew up. So yeah, I'm down almost half my dice. Ryan's got all the infantry. It's going to be up to him. Seamus also has 3 dice too, so it's going to be an interesting tank battle. And then the infantry versus infantry is going to be interesting as well.
Try and advance. Got 1 pin. Regular -1. He likes it.
So we started turn 3. Seamus just pulled a dice. We both have 3 in the bag. Ambush. See. Okay. So we've got lots of crap going on. I think we've got an uphill battle here. We need to get some luck. We need to get some luck. I brought my tanks in. Had 2 decent shots and didn't even hit. So bad news. But we got a lot of infantry still. See how it goes. See if we can pull it out. Alright, so we ended early, which is great for us because Seamus and Tyler were kind of kicking our ass. We didn't have much to stop the stuff in the middle, but we ended from time, which was really beneficial because we got so many units in these neutral zones. They count for 1 point each. Yeah. And so we were actually able to get a win, even though battle-wise, we got pulverized. I felt like it. It was like boom, boom, boom. But we ended up getting a win. So interesting scenario. I have never played that scenario. So it was kind of new to me. We had a few hiccups, missteps, order dice problems. But we all resolved it really well. So, all right. Thanks for catching up. Sorry these battle reports are so bad, but we get to playing and I'm here to have fun. So just try to follow along. Thanks.
I think you see why I am not calling these battle reports in the title. I wouldn't call them that because they're just more updates as we go along. This was like right in turn 2. Seamus was pressing in with 2 tanks. I knew I had this road, so I thought I could come in and maybe at least lock those guys up. That Flampanzer dying on the 6-up and the flamethrower dying on a 6-up on the prep bombardment was kind of brutal. Those paratroopers there, I was hoping that Ryan can get them pinned down. And then my Flampanzer would just drive. It's like right in range. It just needs to drive up 9 inches up by that sandbag and let those guys have flamethrower death. Didn't happen. Then I thought, well, the Kuba wagon could do it. Drive up, move on the road, advance, flamethrower team get out, let them have it. Nope, didn't happen. Dead things don't matter in this one, thank goodness, because we were getting creamed. Ryan did a good job of putting a lot of pins down on his stuff in those woods there. I know Tyler failed quite a few order checks. Actually, like a whole turn of those guys in those woods not passing any checks. They need to get across that road to get into that neutral thing, and they just really didn't move. I think he had 1 squad come out from behind those that little tree stand, and then I think Ryan did a pretty good job of suppressing them. Seamus's Fury tank or whatever, the 105 over on the right. This picture, I might have a picture of it. This just seems like the same picture over and over for some reason. But I think I loaded it up quite a few times. What got us was Ryan's squad here on the left ends up going across the road behind the factory. I had a tank veer left, one of the medium-managed tanks. I figured I'm not going to fight these Shermans, and I veered it left, and it went over to help. This is right before a Sherman comes in and blows the top off this Panzer III. We had started playing, and I didn't know that the reserves came on the long board edge. And then Seamus said that. He goes, well, we can bring them in the regular. And I said, let's just play it regular. I know I exposed my tank, but I thought I'd get lucky. Because the good part was we had a lot of stuff in reserve. Still, even though we got a lot on the board, we had to have at least half on the board, and so we had more stuff off, I think, and it just came in reserve right behind that factory. And Tyler had an infantry squad that had worked its way down, shot up one of Ryan's sissy squads pretty good, but I think Ryan was able to escape behind the tree line. And then my tank let Tyler's guys have it pretty good. I'm not sure if we killed those guys. I don't remember. But yeah, we were just able to get into the zones and not completely die. You know, we'd have like a couple guys left and we'd pass the order check. So yeah, there's the nice Shermans. Those paratroopers didn't go anywhere the whole game. I believe they had to rally a couple times. Ryan's snipers were picking on stuff. Like he killed that lieutenant right off the bat, but they passed the order check even with the -1 for the NCO rule being down. But then he failed all kinds of. Tyler really had a hard time with his order checks. He really did it. Yeah, there's the Sherman hunting my Panzer III. About ready to blow me apart. Yeah, no cover, and he's veteran. That one's veteran, so normally a 3, and so he needs a 3. So I knew I was going to get one there. Ryan's squad here does have one Panzerfaust in it, and they play quite a bit of cat and mouse, but it's fine because Ryan's at least in the deployment zone. Here my Panzer III has a great shot, actually. Went down the road, turned, and the Sherman on the left, we get down and look, eyeball it. There's no cover, so I need a 4, I miss. Next turn I need a 3, I think I hit and don't penetrate. Fortunately he doesn't kill me. That Sherman on the road there, I thought he'd drive up and just give me a side shot, and I think he got focused on some infantry because he thought his other Sherman knocked me out, and he missed or something. I started picking on Ryan's infantry there, and Ryan just started going down. And then see these guys coming across, they're working their way, and they end up over here behind this sandbag. Tyler's got a medium machine gun up in the trees on the very far, you see that blue order dice on it, and he's got a squad you can't see on the back side of this prison complex. So yeah, it worked out for us. We ended up getting a win. I'm not sure exactly how.